Hello, super friends, and welcome. I nearly had a little disaster here. I hit record and realized that my microphone was hooked up to my headset and I heard it from like downstairs. So I almost recorded a whole session without a microphone near me, and that would have been really sad and disastrous. So I'm glad I caught my own snafu. Welcome to Monday afternoon. It's Monday casual today. I'm basically showered, but in my overalls and my comfy clothes. Um, yeah, it's a beautiful, beautiful, now windy summer springy day out there, and I'm happy to be here with you. Today's message is going to come with a little bit of a trigger warning. I sat with it and tried to think, is there some way that I can get around the imagery that came through, or do I need to just go for it? And I sat with it a little bit, and I just decided that I'm going to go for the message. For the images as they were delivered. So they include some medical images from my nursing career, the first one from my ICU time, and then the second image that came through is from my flight time. So a little bit of medical. I promise I won't be gory, but there is also some mention of domestic violence. So I wanted to put that out there as well. So if that is something, if you're a non-medical person, again, I'm not going to be graphic or gory, or if you are easily upset by stories of domestic violence, then this might not be the message for you. And it sounds much more sordid than it is. But, I have my own life experience, which I bring to all of you. And I can't pretend like it's not there. And I don't want to, I feel like it's potent. So I'm going to share it with you. So with no further ado, just needed to check in on that. I will say what I always say, which is this is going to be a channeled message, a little bit storytelling, a little bit of channeling. Take what resonates for you, leave the rest behind, and don't try and fit yourself in where you do not connect with what I have to say today. And I thank you so much for being here. Super excited. I can feel the growth of our little community. When I got into meditation today, each time I get into meditation, it's like I feel different threads of messages and different threads of energy coming through. And it's like, oh, people are watching. People are watching. And I mean, I see that in my statistics as well. But it's just, I can feel it, and it's really fun to be able to feel us growing. So thank you for being here. Thank you for telling your friends. I'm just honored to have you. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Okay, so I'm going to just bring myself into that place. And if you feel called to do so, I'm just going to invite you to take a nice deep breath in and see if you can bring your breath into your root, kind of squeeze your perineum there, squeeze those muscles. And as you inhale, I want you to send your breath all the way up to the crown of your head. And I want you to hold it, hold it, hold it. And then exhale and relax. And I'm just going to do it once as well. So the first image that I saw when I came into meditation was from a long, long time ago, from one of the earliest days in my ICU career. And I know it was one of the earliest days because it was a night shift. And I think I only worked maybe a month of night shifts as a brand new nurse. And then I didn't work any nights in the ICU for almost 7 years. So this was a night shift. This was the start of a night shift. And I walked into my patient's room, and the first thing I felt was, oh, he's going to code, meaning his heart's going to stop or his breathing is going to stop at some point tonight. Now, I'm not sure particularly. I wasn't sure then why I felt that. And I actually felt a little bit silly because to look at him He appeared to be doing well. I can't remember why he was there in the ICU. I can see the room that I was in. It was a split room, so I was one-on-one with a patient, and then the nurse next door was one-on-one with her patient, and the doors were open so that she could mentor me because I was a fairly new nurse. So came in and looked at the monitor, which is an external source. So an external source of information. I was looking up at the monitor. I was looking at his heart rate and his respiratory rate, and I was just looking at the whole picture on the monitor, and everything on the monitor looked good. I looked at him and he looked okay also. His coloring was okay. He felt okay. Like there was no overt reason for me to believe that he was going to code that night. But I just kept feeling it. I just kept feeling like, oh, he's going to code. He's going to code. He's going to code. And the only thing that was happening on the monitor that was out of the ordinary was he was having a little bit of what we call ectopy. He was having a little bit of, like, he would have a premature ventricular contraction or a premature atrial contraction, but nothing regular, nothing rhythmic, and nothing out of the ordinary for somebody in the intensive care unit. And I said to the nurse who was mentoring me, I said to her, I said, I I I don't know what's going on, but I just I feel like he's gonna code. And she kind of laughed at me. I mean, in a gentle and pleasant way. It was not like a nasty laugh, but she was like, "Well, why would you think that? I mean, first of all, why would they put this brand new nurse into a room with a patient who was going to code? The charge nurse would never do that. And second of all, she was seeing what I was seeing, which is everything looks fine. And so she did what she could do to help me think it through. And she was great. She asked me all sorts of questions, and I went through his chart, I went through his vitals, I looked through all of the exterior external signs to try and figure out why I felt like this man was going to code. And there was nothing. But I'll tell you what, at about 4:30 in the morning, it was later in the shift for sure. It was like after the hump point of the night where you're on the downslope and you know you're going home soon. I was sitting in the chair, kind of looking at him, kind of looking at the monitor, and the next thing I know, PVC, a run, a ventricular tachycardia, and then it didn't stop, and he ended up coding. And we coded this man for a long time, and we never got him back, and he died. And I remember Jen, the nurse, saying, "What the actual hell?" I said, "I don't know." And I don't know that I remember learning what they thought it was, but I couldn't tell you what that is now. And I couldn't get it from meditation because that was not the important part of the meditation or what was coming through in the meditation. The important part of what was coming through is we can look all we want out here, out, and we can use our knowledge and our skills and our abilities to make the best decisions that we can possibly make with the evidence in front of us. But what we can actually trust, what we can actually know to be true, is what we feel in here. And so that's the first piece of information that came through. So we're always looking toward our external world. We're always using our very sharp minds. We've learned a lot. We know a lot. We see a lot. We study a lot. We hear a lot. We read a lot. And we bump up against this now too, in our news cycle. And I know that it's come through here for us before as well, that we are really being invited into very nearly disregarding external sources of news and information and really taking in what we can take in from as many sources as possible and then running it through our own gut knowingness, running it through our own sentient awareness, running it through our own divine feminine awareness, because that's what's engaged here. Logic is, logic and wisdom and intellect, I tend to think of more on the masculine side, and the feminine side is really that softer knowingness, that intuitive knowingness. And by the way, I'm not saying that men use their brains and women use their beings. We all have everything. And so we're being invited to tune, regardless of your gender, regardless of your whether you identify as masculine or feminine. We're being invited to tune in more deeply into our feminine awareness, to, yes, take into account the external world and your knowledge base, but to really use your intuition and use your divine feminine knowingness as your beacon, as your truth. Again, I wish I could have seen, I wish I could see, and I'm not getting it now either, like if there was something that I saw about him or something that I felt. But I can also say this was probably, this was, 18 years ago. So my own connectivity with my intuition, my own ability to see, my own sight, not all of those senses, while they were clearly in operation at that time, I didn't have the language for it. I didn't have the ability to discern what it was that I was doing then. I would call it, and I still call it, my spidey sense. My spidey sense said that something was going to go awry, and it did. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for now. Because the next piece that came in was around, it was similar. A lot of my former nursing career, or my paused nursing career, came through today. And that the next piece that came in was around productivity and self-worth and value. And the feeling there is, and it's obvious, just like those external signs, just as if we let those override our internal knowingness. The other piece that came through around this is that we often allow our external signs to really reflect our own sense of self-worth. And so the feeling there is our productivity, our what we've accumulated, like the external signs of abundance, of wealth, of value, of accumulation, this land, this much money, these designer bags, these shoes, this house, this meal, this brand, whatever it is, whatever our society uses to decode wealth and worth, we are very much being invited into letting our own self-worth, our own value go from those old ways of being, from from letting go of releasing your self-worth, releasing your value, releasing how you see yourself as a productive member of society and the world, from the like what you have to show for it, from the external. The feeling is we are being invited into, just as we are being invited into listening more deeply to our spidey sense, to our intuition, to our internal signals, to our internal knowingness, we are also being invited much more deeply into using love and self-love as the great discerner of our own value. It's like our actual value in the world is how much love we have to offer the world, and it is directly related to how much love we allow ourselves to receive in this world. And we are so, we as a culture, we Western culture, we as a planet, we have gotten so far away from love and self-love. We've gotten so far away from the truth of what is actually valuable to us and what actually allows us to experience our own worth. And it is that ability to receive love and to see ourselves as love, and to take away those external markers of how we would normally count our love, how we would normally count not our love, but our worth, but even sometimes love. Like sometimes it's that like the image that just came now is like, like the image was, a suitor coming to my door with like, a big bouquet of flowers and going to take me to a beautiful meal, and like that somehow being equated with like his value. It's like, no, that's like nice. It's lovely. I'm not going to say no, but th the value is not the flowers and the meal and the gifts and the external things. The value is, can he offer me love, and can I receive love? And that is where we're being invited more deeply into our own connectivity, our own expansion, to really almost even tune out. And this is not always easy to do. There's just so much coming at us at all times, but to tune out all of those external signals. And that's where we get into meditation, right? That's where I invite everybody I know into meditation, because that's where all of the external stuff drops away and we get into what truly matters, which is our own worth and our own ability to receive and offer love out into the world. And tied to that is this feeling of, and here's where another story is going to come in, but tied into that feeling of worthiness and increasing my worth and increasing my self-worth by becoming more productive, was this feeling of like there being some pressure on it. And the way that this came forward, the way that that pressured piece came forward for me is it's, it's like true confessions of where Dana is in her life. But like I am not somebody who sits still very well. I think many of you know that. And I have, in the past 3 weeks since I left my job, like been almost like weighted down, mired down, bogged down in some ways. Like I have this great desire to create what's coming next. And I have this great desire to like be productive, to be doing and like creating and like, okay, it's go time. I finally have all this time to myself and I'm gonna go. I gotta go. I gotta go. And everything about what's happening for me personally, energetically, it's like moving through mud. It's like I can't, like everything wants to slow down. Like I keep being drawn to my bed or drawn to the meditation cushion or like drawn away from anything productive. So I have been taking more baths in the last 3 weeks than I've probably taken in like the last 3 years of my life. It's not something that I normally would do. And this is what I was shown to share with you, because I have the sense that many of you are also feeling that, like the shoulds, like I should go do this, I should go do that. I'm feeling pressured. I'm feeling pressured. I have to make money. I have to prove myself to myself. I have to prove myself to someone else. I have to be able to show my love by being able to show my productivity. Like there's all, like, again, there's that worthiness piece tied into productivity. And really what's been happening energetically out there, and I had to be reminded of this, but we are now at the very end of Taurus season, and I'm not an astrologer, I don't pretend to be, but it had to be pointed out to me that we have been in a season of fixed earth, like immovable earth energy, along with a really emotional, really difficult full moon. And the reason, if you are feeling this, and this is not for everyone, but if you are feeling that, like that like pressure to like for spring, like I have to go out and produce, I have to go out and produce, I have to go do things, I need to, I should. And instead you're like, I can't do this, I just want to take a nap. I want, and then I hear like all of the negative self-talk of like, oh, I'm lazy. I'm like all the things that we do to ourselves when we're not being productive. I'm lazy, I'm procrastinating, I you make we make ourselves bad or wrong for not being productive. And that I just want to remind you that sacred rest has been really coming through. This whole fixed earth Taurian season has been one where we are being invited into some sacred rest, some getting into bed and taking a nap, getting into the bath and soaking, gently moving your body instead of the yoga Olympics and running a marathon. I mean, again, this is not going to apply to everyone, but for some of you here, there's been that negative feedback loop in your own being telling you that you're not good enough, you're not doing enough, and you need to be doing more, and you're wasting time, and you're being lazy. And I'm just here to tell you, no, you are feeling the energy of the season, you're feeling the energy of the earth, and there is medicine for you. There is wisdom for you in being in that fixed Taurian earth energy and just allowing yourself to be still. I also have the sense, because I'm seeing the Eight of Wands. I have the sense that, like, first it feels like pressure to produce, but then the next iteration feels like, okay, we're moving into Gemini season, and that's the season of communication, and we're about to like head out into productivity. And I already feel like that is starting to come through, but we needed the quiet. For those of you who did need it, needed the quiet and the connectivity with your true worthiness, with your true value, which is your soul's value, which is not what society tells us is valuable, but what your being understands as value. We needed to connect more deeply with that so that when it is time to come out of that place and communicate, when it's time to come out into the world and share your truth or share your vision or share your next iteration of your work in the world, your creations, it's going to be coming from a more embodied, more connected to your soul place. And that's what we need more of. We don't need any more productivity for the sake of producing, for the sake of like being like beaten into it or like forced into productivity to feel valuable. What we need more of, what this world needs more of, is heart-centered, birthing from the heart, birthing from love, your creations out into the world. And I'm going to shut up for a minute because I'm hearing something. Hmm. There's I just heard softness, gentleness. There's this feeling of, this is very specific and it's not gonna be for everyone, but I'm gonna bring it forward also. There's a feeling of like if you are someone who is moving from love, who is creating from love, and when I say this, I mean like universal, beautiful, big love. For some of you, the world, like it may feel like the world isn't ready to receive you from this place. The world is still a little perplexed, or the people and situations in your world are a little perplexed by your ability to hold unconditional love, to hold that frequency and move from that frequency of unconditional love. I heard softness, and for you, you may be experiencing it as softness and gentleness, but the people on the receiving end of this unconditional love, of this softness, of this gentleness, of this true, like, I am ready to bring you love and I'm ready to receive your love. We're just, some people are just not ready to see that or feel that yet, and they're sort of holding you at bay. They're like the energy is like, like your love is moving from you, your desire to connect is moving from you, and it's like, it's like it either can't move all the way from you, or it gets to them and it's like it hits a brick wall. And then the other thing that I'm hearing about that is like is this feeling of like they may even the way that they hold the brick wall, the way that they're keeping you at bay, the way they're keeping your love at bay is by like trying to turn it on you and call it weakness. Like so I'm seeing a couple. I'm seeing a man and a woman, and I'm seeing the woman, and again, just go with this. Genders can be reversed. It can be a same-sex couple. It could be not even a couple. It could be you and your boss. So, but what I'm seeing is a man and a woman, and the woman is just offering this very connected, deep, and truthful, unconditional love to this person, to this partner, boss, whatever it is. And the person on the receiving end of it is so wholly unused to receiving love in that way, whether through themselves or from the world, that instead of being able to receive it, they block it. And the way it's being blocked is by turning it on you. And there's this feeling of like trying to call you weak or trying to call you bad or wrong. Uh, I'm seeing now, I'm just getting an image of, I had a conversation, a very ugly, awkward conversation with a boss from my former job a few months ago. And I'm seeing that situation where I was coming from a very connected place, and it was like there was no ability for the person on the receiving end to receive, and it was all deflection, and it was all like trying to make me bad or wrong. And again, I have no judgment, it just was what it was, but that's what it feels like here. So if you're experiencing this, and again, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a woman and a man, it doesn't matter what end of the spectrum you're on or what the situation is. The feeling is you who are on the delivery end of that unconditional love and that unconditional love for, it's more than love for the person, it's like love for the planet and love for the collective. Maybe it's love for your whole family. You are not weak, and your unconditional love is not there, not you being a people pleaser or a hard ass. It's not you doing anything too TOO. Like it's not you being too much, or it's not you being coming from a wounded place or being people pleasing. It is actually you in an elevated place offering unconditional love to a person, place, or thing that is unable to receive it at this time. But what I'm seeing here is that you are, in fact, creating an opening. You're creating an opening in the person, place, or thing, the group. You like keep going is what it feels like. And it doesn't necessarily mean that like you keep going where you're like chasing them down. There's this image now of oh God, of mice and men. Like I'm going to love him and squeeze him and hold him, and he ends up smothering him. Like we don't want to go after people with our unconditional love. Like "Ah, just let me love you." That's not what we're doing here, and that's not what I'm talking about. It is just continuing to beam your love energetically, to beam it out to the person, place, or thing, to the group, to the community. I mean, hell, we might even be talking about like our political system and beaming it out to people who are not used to receiving this love, who don't know how to hold it, who are going to in fact reject it. But we are being invited into really putting that frequency out. And please, 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 and this is the most important part of this message, please don't view it as weakness from inside of yourself. It is like your soulfully connected strength that is allowing you to bring this love out toward this group of people, this person who's unable to receive. And you are, in fact, like there's almost like little cracks in the pavement or little cracks, and like the light is getting in, but they're just so unused to receiving that light that there's like the light is like, oh, I don't even know, I can't even look here yet, but it feels like it's coming. And there's an element here, which is the next theme, and of trusting in divine timing. I think I might have said that when I was seeing the Eight of Wands. If I didn't say it, I'm saying it to you now. We have, and again, there's that productivity. We have this agenda. We have these timelines. Like, I'm going to go from point A to point B to point C to point D to point E, and then I'm going to end up at F, and then I'm done. And divine timing doesn't work that way. That's our egoic, linear, like we're all in agreement, and step one, step two, step three. If we go in order, we will get to Shangri-La by the time we're done finishing these steps. And we are being asked to release a timeline. We're being asked to release a time frame. And for some of you, I feel like there's a distinction there for some of you as well. Like for some of you, you have just like jumped timelines, and the goal that you were working toward on that lower frequency timeline is actually like going away. You're not actually working toward that goal, but there's this feeling of your system may not know it yet. Your system may think that you're still working on that same goal. And so you might be caught in this sort of in between space right now. And the feeling is to stay on that linear trajectory and to continue to follow your point A to point B to point C to point D, to continue to follow that path that you thought you were on, is actually going to hinder your expansion and your progress on this next timeline. You're not actually going to get to the goal on that lower timeline. But what I'm being shown is if you can let go of that very like structured, it feels like structured, like these are the logical steps to get me to my goal. If you can let go of those steps and surrender your desire to divine timing, it feels like you may actually arrive at Shangri-La. You might actually get whatever is at the end of that timeline, whatever is at the end of that goal, but it's not going to be in the way you thought you were going to get there. And in fact, by choosing to let go of the way you thought you were going to get there, by choosing to let go of it and to allow yourself to be elevated, you may yet end up with that prize, that goal, that goal might come to fruition. It's just not going to look like what you thought it was going to look like when you were initially planning your path toward the goal. I'm being shown to share with you to let go of the path. Just let it go. You don't need to let go of the love. You don't need to let go of the desire. So if this is something like, this was my path to world peace, and now you're telling me I can't execute these steps to get to world peace, that's kind of what I'm saying. I'm saying that don't let go of world peace. Don't let go of that, but let go of the way you thought you're going to get there. Because if you can let go and allow yourself to be taken on this new timeline, world peace might happen here, or it might happen further out there, but you won't need to be laboring so much over it. I feel like, again, there's that productivity and laboring piece again. It's like, let go of the steps, let go of what you think it should look like. For some of you, you're even going to let go of the goal altogether. And you're just going to say, you know what? I trust and surrender. Show me where I'm going. Show me the way. And you are going to like come up on that next timeline and get a lot more comfortable than you've been for a really long time. And again, there's also that feeling of like what has felt really slow and really like drawn out and maybe even blocked, like it's going to start picking up the pace soon, but it's not going to be by you getting controlly and grabby about it. It's going to come closer and faster and better by relinquishing control, surrendering to divine timing, and surrendering to what you think it's going to look like to get there, and also what there even is. I'm gonna look at my notes. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So I think I've already touched on this, but the idea that some of us are really bound to like the accumulation of things. Like we think our wealth is going to come from the accumulation of things, like I need to buy and sell things, or I need to acquire things. And we're being told to let go of the old ways of doing things and to invite a new way. And that new way is like, what does my soul actually want? What does love want? What would give me my highest sense of self-worth and my highest capacity to give love? And that self-worth and love of self, it's like it's all tied into what will allow me to receive love, what will allow me to move love from me. And it's not necessarily in the old way of doing things. It's not in my nursing career. It's not in your, I don't know, your chef's career. I mean, maybe it is. And it, for some of you, it's not the what you're doing, it's the how you're doing it. So for some of you, you're changing careers, you're changing partners, you're changing houses, you're moving, like everything is changing. And we're being invited to trust that and to follow your soul's path and to follow the path of love. For some of you, you're staying on the same path, but you're being invited into a new why or how. And that new invitation involves a greater sense of love and tending and care and respect for your own physical human self and your spiritual self, and also like the love that you're giving from you and sending from you, so that those around you, I've got a restaurant image here, and I'm not sure who that's for, and it may just be a general, like I'm not changing the restaurant, I'm not changing the menu even, but I'm changing the love that I'm putting into my food. And I'm changing from like being that chef who slams things down and screams and tells people everything's ruined, to like complimenting everybody on the line, and so that the food that comes out is filled with love instead of anger. That's just what's coming through, so I'm sharing it. The last piece, and I feel like it's also around that divine timing piece, is like trusting in your dreams, maybe even more than you've ever trusted your dreams before. So the image is like looking out, like being on a cliff's edge and looking out, possibly over the ocean, but just seeing the limitlessness of all that's beyond what your naked eye can see, and trusting in something more than what you have known, choosing to trust in something more than you've ever known, because what you oh, there's a cat jumping on my lap. What you have known before is only the smallest part of what's possible for us. And we're being invited to connect with love, to connect with divinity, to connect, to connect, to connect. And from that connected place, to look out across the water and see how much bigger our dreams can be, how much more is possible for us, and to see where we've been limiting ourselves by our productivity and by our accumulation and holding that with our self-worth. And again, going back to where we started with the like external knowingness, the external signs versus the internal signs, we're really being invited into listening so much more closely internally than we have ever paid attention before. The the external signs can only tell us so much. We can only do so much with what's happening out here, but with what's happening in here, the possibilities are endless. I almost feel like I don't even want to tell the last story, which is the one with the true trigger warning, because I feel like I've probably made my point here. But some of you have stayed to the end, is what I'm seeing, to hear this story. And so I'm going to share it. So I'm going to give you the opportunity now um, to say goodbye if you don't want to hear this last piece. I feel like the message that needed to come through has already come through. And now I'll share this last piece of medical story, um, which came. Oh, I hear my son coming home too. Hang on one second. I'm going to hit pause